It promises to be a school year like none before and as a series of challenges hit the public schools all at once. Joining us tonight, State School Superintendent Chris Reichdahl with a look at declining enrollments and the funding issues it's causing. Next, two Pierce County superintendents talking about budgets and what kids can expect as everybody works overtime to make up for COVID learning deficits. And our Steve Kiggins brings us the story of a mental health crisis among youth that is having a big impact on the schools. The upcoming school year is the discussion next on Northwest Now. With per-student spending now at $17,000 a year, almost doubling in the past decade, you might think all is well at Washington's public schools, but you'd be wrong. Due to an epic shift in demographics and a rush to private and homeschooling, enrollment is down sharply. That means the 1 million students in many of Washington's school districts are facing budget cuts in places like Bellevue and even in Seattle, which faced a $131 million deficit coming into this school year. COVID hasn't helped either. While test scores did tick upward a bit last year, only 38% are at grade level in math and about half in English and language arts. And there's another big problem, mental health. As Northwest Now reporter Steve Kiggins tells us, the most recent Healthy Youth Survey shows about 60% of adolescents are experiencing anxiety or depression, with 20% needing clinical care and another 20% reporting having considered suicide.
I don't think that we've ever had a time where there's so many conflicting issues that are coming to bear at the same time for children.
Stephen Blanford, Executive Director at the Children's Alliance, released its own report covering the results of the Healthy Youth Survey, drawing conclusions from a steering committee aimed to make right the damaged psyche of Washington's youth.
When kids are, grappling with suicide ideation, we need immediate answers, and then we can work on those longer-term solutions.
The nonprofit Mental Health America ranks Washington State 32 out of 51 locations across the country, meaning youth in 31 other jurisdictions have an easier chance to afford and access mental health care. Washington state agencies who conducted the survey found social media heavily and negatively influencing youth's mental well-being.
Approximately 1 in 5, that's 20% of 10th graders, were at risk for problematic internet use in 2021. 1 in 5. Now, what does that mean? Problematic internet use includes feeling anxious or withdrawal when you're not able to connect to social media or internet.
The coding of the past has been how to maximize your attention down a rabbit hole in some cases, and I think the future is really having kids, families, and developers program the way that people would like to engage with things.
Reed Saris, author of the Children's Alliance report, says Washington must act swiftly to invest in healthcare professionals and even group therapy models for youth, among other methods, to reduce the barriers preventing teens from accessing care.
With the report, we hope to really push our thinking about what's possible, because I think everybody in the state is aware of the level of crisis. The governor declared it an emergency. There's major advisories from the U.S. Surgeon General, and we wanted to talk about what can actually be done.
For Northwest Now, I'm Steve Kiggins.
An in-depth conversation with the Department of Health's Dr. Maayan Simkes about the Healthy Youth Survey continues on the Steve on the Street podcast, streaming now on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Joining us now is State Superintendent of Schools, Chris Reichdahl.